Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to install Surplus OS Ultimate. Surplus OS Ultimate is an operating system environment made in batch, complete with a BIOS and virtual machine infrastructure. It's made by the Shaggy39 Studio, my indie studio, and we're just going to be running through the steps of how to install it, set it up, and use it, because if you're watching this, it's early access, which means you can try it out for yourself and see what it's all about. Now, most likely you've either downloaded it already or are in the process of downloading it. For one, go to your downloads folder, wherever that may be or however you want to get to it, and this is probably what you've gotten, a little zip file. Right-click it, extract all, and you could put it in its own folder if you would like, but inside of this zip file is a folder, so we can just kind of extract it right here. It's not too big, shouldn't take that long, but just be patient. Surplus OS also has official support for anything Windows 7 or higher. We'll be running through all of those just in case, although the process is basically identical. Unlike some other Shaggy39 Studio projects or titles, this actually supports 32-bit and 64-bit. It doesn't actually matter which you're using at all. And this is it. This is what you end up with. Now, this is just a folder, so you can just double-click it. Now, the first time you run Surplus OS Ultimate, no matter what version or copy or build you have, you're most likely going to have a couple messages show up. At least if you have the default Windows settings. For one, I know there's a lot of stuff in here and a lot of different start shortcuts, but if you want to start it with the font already a bit larger, you can use this one. Or if you want to use a font that's already in Windows by default, you can use these. Now, the first time you start the virtual machine environment, it's going to give you some messages. For one, it's going to say Windows Terminal seems to be running. Now, you could press Y and just continue anyway, which is perfectly fine. But I've noticed Windows Terminal could be a little weird when clicking around. Sometimes it kind of selects stuff or gets a little stuck for a minute. So again, you can just press Y on the keyboard and continue on, but the recommended option here is to hit N, which will open up settings for you and go to this page. But what you want to do here is scroll down to the Let Windows Decide for the Terminal app and switch it to Windows Console Host. Once you've done that, you're done with settings. You can close this out and open it again. But you'll see one more message, and this is just telling you that the virtual machine font that's used by default can't be found on the system. Again, you can press Y and just continue normally, but you can press N, and that'll open the font file for you. From here, you could just click Install on the top left. Once you close this, you're ready to go, and the system should just start up like normal. Here in Windows 10 now, you'll see the process is basically identical. Yet again, go to your downloads folder, however you might do it, and it's just the zip file. Right-click it, extract all, and pick where you want it. Again, once that's done, you can either delete this or keep it to make some more. You'll see the icon looks a bit different, but that's just because we're in Windows 10. And the icons picked for these folders originally were in Windows 11, so some of them might look a little weird. That's okay, disregard it, it still works, 100%, and you still have our 100% support, should you email us. And if you have Windows Terminal installed, you'll probably have to do that whole thing again of switching it. Since this machine doesn't, it notices the virtual machine font isn't found. Again, hitting N will just open it, and you can install it on the top left here. Once that's done, you can close this and it'll launch like normal now. If you do get the message about Windows Terminal, again, this should open for you, and just scroll down to where it says Let Windows Decide for the Terminal app and switch it to Windows Console Host. Over in Windows 7 now, again, navigate to your downloads folder however you normally would, and you still have just a single zip file. Right-click it, extract all, and put it where you want it. And once again, you're left with this. The icon, of course, being the fact that the one chosen for Windows 11 doesn't exist in the right place in Windows 7. Speaking of icon, you'll notice that the starting icon is an X. This does not mean an error. This is again the same icon issue of it just not existing in the same place as Windows 11. All of these shortcuts and the VM itself still have full support in Windows 7. As always, you have the option of using the fallback font that's included in Windows, starting the virtual machine with a larger font, And of course, starting it like normal. And just as all the other ones have, you'll get a message about the default virtual machine font not being found. Exactly as before, you can press Y and continue anyway. But if you press N, it'll open the font file. Again, you can install the font on the top left. Once you close this out, you're ready to start and launch it like normal. You'll most likely know Windows 7's version runs a bit faster, and that's because of Windows Defender. Windows Defender likes to scan all of the code being ran inside of cmd.exe, or batch files and command script files. This of course means everything Surplus OS Ultimate executes and processes is first going to be checked by Windows Defender, which takes some time. Since Windows Defender, first of all, wasn't included in Windows 7 to the extent it is in Windows 10, and isn't enabled and constantly running, you'll notice everything executes a lot faster. Do note, however, that automatic window resizing probably won't happen because you can't resize the window. You can window snap it, but that doesn't really accomplish very much. You also can't use Control and Scroll Wheel to make the text bigger or smaller. You're kind of locked into whatever you started as. You may have to use the fallback font versions because of Windows 7's default raster font, but whatever you need, Surplus OS Ultimate has. Over in Windows Vista now, there's one change to the process. Yet again, navigate to your Downloads folder the way you normally would. You still have the one zip file, so right-click, Extract, and put it where you want. Again, once that's done, you can either delete this or keep it to make multiple copies. When it's all over and done with, you have this. Not even an icon this time, but it's there, just the same as the past 3 Windows versions. Opening it will give you a message about the default virtual machine font not being found on the system. You can still press Y to continue anyway, or you can press N, and it'll open the font for you. This time, however, there is no install button. You'll have to install the font manually, which isn't hard at all. Inside the VM folder, though it doesn't look like a folder, go to Assets. In here, you'll find the font we used. Right-click, Install, accept the user account control, and try it again. Just the same as Windows 7, you'll notice that it's running faster than Windows 10 and 11. Again, this is to be expected. Again though, you can't resize the window manually, and you can't use Control and Scroll Wheel to make it bigger or smaller, so you'll most likely want to skip the tour. If you missed the card in the top right before, don't worry, go to the video description. There should be a link to an overview, a showcase, a quick little introduction into what Surplus OS Ultimate is, what this specific early access copy is, and what the actual project is. There'll be yet another video about it showing how to make apps for it, so if that's something you're interested in, check it out. With all that said though, it's time to shut down, and for you to give Surplus OS Ultimate a try.